All right, friends. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for being with us. It's been a very powerful few weeks of learning together online. I want to start, before we do anything, to have each and every one of us right now take 3 very, very, very calm and deep breaths. Let's sing one song without words. One nigun. And let's try to find ourselves in this nigun. Written by Rabbi David Zeller, Alav Shalom. You can close your eyes. We want to really get comfortable. We want the whole process of the minutes that we have together right now to be everlasting. To really go inside our hearts and stay there. And to be good to ourselves, to be good to ourselves. Let's breathe in this niggun, this beautiful niggun. everyone, welcome again. Thank you so much for being with us tonight's shiur, or today, wherever you are, depending on where you are. This shiur is in merit of the complete refuah shlema of Avram Tzvi ben Chana b'toch Shar Cholei Yisrael. We're trying to do as many shiurim as possible right now these days, and if there's someone that you want to sponsor a shiur in their memory for the refuah shlema, in honor, mamash, this is the time to just marbes chuyot, to make merits greater and greater. This evening, we're going to be learning words from Rav Kook that were literally written maybe 110 years ago, but they could have been written this morning or this afternoon. You know, there's certain neshamas, there's certain souls that when you think about them, you get calm. And I see some of the chevra here that are learning with us online have pictures of Rav Kook in their homes. Rav Kook is a pele, a wonder of all wonders. Personally speaking, it took me a lot of years after high school to kind of like get rid of the image that they gave me of Rav Kook, where I was forced to learn such deep Torahs from people that meant well, but it wasn't giving us life. It was giving us stress and pressure to crack such difficult Hebrew. But at a certain point in life, the world of Rav Kook has to reach you because he's such a neshama klalit. He's such a general soul, such a large soul. And Rav Kook was so sensitive, mamash, so sensitive to each person, to all their needs, to everything that a person could think about that they would need. And specifically, when it comes to briyut hanefesh, to the health of our mental capacity, of our souls, the health of our nefesh. And all of us right now are in the same boat. Meaning, some of us are strong, some of us are less strong. Some of us, Bezrat Hashem, all of us will be healthy. Some of us are not healthy yet. But we're all in the same place of being human and dealing with fear, dealing with anxiety, dealing with stress. I mean, I'm saying this now because I see that my parents right now are in the middle of another meeting online with someone that they have. So I wouldn't say it now, but like right before the shiur, I saw that one of my parents' close friends is mamish on a ventilator right now in Los Angeles. Each of us has someone. In our keilah here in Efrat, there are two people that have a father. One person has both parents. One person has their father. Each of us has someone that on a physical health state is in the world of the unknown. But let's face it, even when we're healthy, we're in the state of the unknown. So what we're trying to do tonight is to peel off a layer of concealment, somehow, attaching ourselves to these literally prophetic words of Rav Kook from a ma'amar called Ma'amar Hapachad, literally the discourse of fear. This discourse saved my life before I got married. A friend came over one morning and he saw that I was pretty anxious, and he said, put everything away. And he pulled out this Ma'amar HaPachad, where Rav Kook describes to us what we're feeling inside. What we're going to be doing tonight is two things, hopefully. One is understanding what's actually happening to us in states of life that we're living in right now. But at the end, I don't want to just end it off with understanding what's happening inside, but to kind of go practical as possible and be like, well, what do we do with all that? Now, there are many different opinions and ideas as to how to attack anxiety and how to attack stress and how to deal with it. I'm prefacing by saying this is just one shita. This is just the way we're learning it through Rav Kook, and later by someone very special that I'm going to save till the end. If that doesn't keep you here till the end, I don't know what will. But I want you again take one deep breath, especially before we look at Rav Kook's Hebrew. You need a lot of breaths for that, a lot of breaths for that, and invite you all to just let the tzaddik give our neshamas a little bit of a massage. All right, so let's take a look at Ma'amar HaPachad. As I said earlier, this ma'amar hapachad, was written over 100 years ago. I believe that it was written, I had a note, yes, it was written in 1906. It's from a book of, it's a collection of essays called Ikve Hatzam. And the third essay in Rav Kook's combination here of articles is called hapachad, the fear. And in it, Rav Kook is going to show us, like I said before, let's understand what's going on inside of you. So let's go. B'Shem Hashem na'aseh v'natzliach. Ribbono shleilom, this should be for the refuah shlema of Choli Amcha Yisrael and all people that are sick in the whole world. Hapachad hanifraz hu notel et ziv hachayim shel Adam v'shel kol hachai hamargish. Before you run out of your chairs and you're like, I cannot believe I am actually trying to crack this Hebrew, and especially it's late at night here in Eretz Yisrael, I'm just going to tell you how we're going to do it. We're going to read a line, I'm going to give the literal translation, and then we're going to give the non-literal translation, the translation of today. Hapachad hanifraz, that means exaggerated paranoia, fear, removes the ray of life out of man and out of the world of emotions. What do we feel when we're stuck in a state of anxiety? Or I would say, what don't we feel? We don't feel alive. The ray of life, the shine of life, the trigger of life, that which gets our engine going. The pachad notel, it removes. Fear that's injected into us comes and removes it out of us. The ability to feel, the ability to breathe. That's why they always say when you're feeling very anxious, just start being alive again. And we know that our way of beginning to be alive in this world is the breath. Because what fear does is that it removes from you this concept of ziv hachayim, the ray of life. Rav Kook says this is a horrible thing. En davar ra ve'achzari ba'olam domelo. There is nothing as bad and as cruel in the world than when your zitzfleisch, when your ray of life, when your geschmackhood, whatever you want to call it, that's a weird word, geschmackhood. When you're I don't know what it is, when your fire is blown out. There's nothing worse than that. Rav Kook says it's cruelty. When anxiety comes and paralyzes you, there's nothing more cruel than that. And what does it do to you? What do you experience inside when anxiety and stress is what's dictating to you how to live? End of the first line. Hu magdil et kol haraot yoter be'ein aroch mima shehem. It takes the magnifying glass and it puts it on the tiny, whatever it is that you're dealing with, whether it's a tiny thing, a little bit of a bigger thing, but any difficulty that you're feeling, that you're going through, it comes with a magnifying glass and it says, this is really all that's going on. It's like basically it takes a font, this is our language today. You have a little bit of a stressful thing in your life, and the anxiety comes in and controls your hand, puts it on the mouse, and it says, okay, choose a font, choose size, right? The size right now perhaps is, I don't know, 8, 6, 8, and it goes to 36 or 42 or 76 or whatever it is. And it says, now look at life. It blows it up out of context. Second line, U'ma'afil et zohar kol hatovot. What it also does is it causes afela. That means it darkens the zohar, the splendor of that which is good in life. It doesn't remove it, doesn't take it away from you, but anxiety and fear prevents you from being able to have the good things in your life play any role, be active at all in your being. Bechatirato asher yachtor mitachat leishiyutehen להגזים ששם צפונה רעה תחת הטוב hagalui. You know what it basically does? It's a snake. It says to you, oh yeah, you have some things that are going good in your life. Let's turn that stone over. Let's see what's beneath that stone. Let's see what's beneath that rock. And what the world of anxiety and stress makes us do is that it makes us doubt and reject and deny the real emet of the good that exists in our life. And it says to us, you know, if you dug a little bit deeper, you'd see that that thing that you think is good for you and that makes you happy, beneath it lies a whole venom of poison. You've just been covering it over with something. But be'emet, even in the good that you think you have in your life, it's not there. Anyone that suffered from anxiety, from stress, knows very well that one of the greatest fears is where you look at things that once were absolutely simcha points in your life and you're saying, oh my God, even this isn't helping now. Why? Because Rav Kook said, because anxiety comes like a snake and tells you, flip the stone over. You think it's good? You know that beneath all the places of calm, beneath all the places of steady in your life, you know that it's not calm. So what kind of illusion are you living under? Rav Kook continues in the second paragraph. And I don't think we're going to get, by the way, this is only about 2/3 of the whole ma'amar, and I don't even, the point is not to get through all of it, it's to just to get as much chizuk as we can. So as much as we can do, we'll do. Mekor kol chulsha v'chol rifayon chomri musari v'sichli. The source of any weakness, whether it's intellectual, materialistic, or ethical, the source of it, hu rak hapachad ha'over et gvulo. It's only when fear goes out of its territory. It means that the source of any weakness that a person feels in this world, go to any department in your life where you're feeling a certain level of weakness, the source of it is when fear gets out of hand, when it's out of control. So he said something very interesting. He didn't say you have to abolish fear, because Rav Kook understands we live in a world that with a natural tendency to be scared, to be fearful of certain things in certain times. The thing is, like Chazal say, Ezehu chacham hamakir et mekomo. You have to know your space. You have to know your place in the world. So he's not saying that if you have any fear whatsoever, you're basically a meshugana. What Rav Kook seems to be saying over here is that when anxiety and stress are out of control, which is usually the case when you speak in terminology of anxiety and paranoia and stress, that threatens man more than anything, and it weakens any area in our lives that had some strength, that had some hold to it. He continues in the middle of the first line in the second paragraph. Hu ye'ayem al ha'adam shelo ya'aseh kol davar lishuato shelo yinakef etzba lehatzalato shema yinazek. This fear threatens man. Don't try to help yourself at all, because anything you're going to try to do to get better is only going to hurt you, is only going to damage you. What a powerfully sad voice that is. That voice says to you, anything that you try to do to get better is going to come back and hurt you really badly. It's unbelievable how Rav Kook was speaking mamash to I want to say on the same level, because I don't want to compare Rav Kook to today's modern psychology, but the world of psychology obviously has spent so much time pointing out that this nikuda, when you hear this voice that tells you don't even try because you're just going to damage yourself, you have to identify that as the source of your weakness. Rav Kook says it's exactly what's going to happen. But Rav Kook said this in 1906. You're going to bring bad on yourself. Shema yavi alav ra'a lo yuchal kapara ad shehu oseu lechala shumale rifyon. Rav Kook says you're going to end up, you think you're weak now? Save your koach. Save your strength. Don't use your strength to try to help yourself right now. Because anything that you do to try to help yourself right now you're going to fall even deeper into the mud. Anything you do will make you even more filled with doubt and weakness. Till what happens? Until he reaches a place that you're so lethargic, you're so passive, you don't even end up doing anything. The world of darkness says, come to here. This is where you belong. And you say, you're right. This is where I belong. So Rav Kook is saying, when a person chooses to give in to that voice that says, don't even try to help yourself because you're just going to damage yourself, you might be thinking, okay, I'm not going to do anything good, I'm not going to do anything bad. But we'll know, just like we say about like the world of halacha, if you're not walking, if you're not going forward, you don't stay in your spirituality, spiritually speaking, you don't stand in your spot, you're going backwards. So over here, the same thing over here too, is that if you're not giving any koach into denying that voice that says you're weak and trying to help yourself, calling a friend is only going to damage you, or reaching out for help is only going to damage you, and you say, okay, I won't reach out for help, but at least I'm not going to damage myself, by not reaching out and by not showing that you need some help, you're only causing more darkness to come and be your shachen, your neighbor. And Rav Kook says over here, so what kind of fear are we speaking about? Are we thinking about right now that I'm fearful because I have a physical pain? That's also very fearful. People can fall into very deep realms of anxiety and stress due to a physical ailment. But Rav Kook says the worst thing is the next thing. Hapachad hayoter mazik hu hapachad hamachshavi. The fear which is most damaging is the thoughtful fear. What does that do? Shematil, this is spooky. Shemetil hadimyon hakozev. Hadimyon hakozev means the disappointed imagery, the disappointed imagination, the disappointing imagination places al chelek hayoter adin veyoter mefoar min hamin haenoshi. It's a little bit of difficult Hebrew. Let's just try to get through it so that then we can speak about it out loud. He says over here that our world of thoughts is like it's a wonderful thing. It's a beautiful thing. And just like anything that's beautiful, it could also be so harmful and it could be so damaging. What happens to us sometimes in the world of thoughts, of dimayon, of dimyonot, of imagination, is that on the one hand, I once heard from Rabbi Shlomo who said in the name of Rabbi Nachman that in order to believe in God, you have to have an imagination. But on the other hand, our imagination sometimes leads us to places that damage the most gentle spots of our being. You know, you and I, if you're here with us tonight, and you've been with us before, and B'ezrat Hashem will be together many times in person as well, we're in this world because we're aware of the gentle part of our neshamas, hayoter adin. We have a very gentle part of ourselves, very delicate, very delicate. And when someone messes with the place that's most delicate with us, it hurts the most, as we all know. Or those of you, B'ezrat Hashem, that aren't parents yet will know. When you see someone come and even on the most minute level damage the tmimut of your child, you want to kill that person. You want to remove them from the world. When you see someone messing with the delicate part of your children's ishiyut, personality, you would do anything in the world to prevent that person from having any access or any contact with your child. The goal in the world of dealing with this kind of stress and anxiety is to identify what imagery and which imagination is that person that's coming to mess with your child and you that's still alive, chai v'kayam, that still believes that they're delicate and that they're gentle. And just like you would never ever allow anyone to step foot close to your own child and mess with their delicate tmimut, if that's the case, we would do the same exact thing. Alevai, if we could just identify that person, meaning that imagination, those world of thoughts that come and bring terror on the place inside of you and I, whether we're 70, 50, 30, 20, 80, it doesn't matter, that still believes in Tmimut, that still believes that the world is beautiful. It brings, it's Rav Kook calls this Dimion Kozev. Dimayon, the world of imagination, was basically put down in the world to be used to imagine how beautiful the world could be. But when it's used for the opposite, it's terrorizing. The end of this first line in the third paragraph, Shehem omdim lanes liot leorot mazhirim et darchei achayim el haklal kulo. Rav Kook says this more gentle and glorious species from the human species, and I would think that's you and I, that's Am Yisrael. We are miraculous. We can bring such light into the world, but we all know that when the other side gets a hold of how much light is about to come into the world, they'll do whatever they can to come and attack Dafka, that place. Now, Rav Kook says a few words here that books have been written on. Look at this. Hatzlalim hinam holchim tamid beikvot haorot. Tzlalim comes from the word tsel. Tsel is the shadows, the shades. So he says the more light there is, like when you walk on a street and the more you're a bigger person, the more shadow you will carry with yourself as you walk down the street. The more your neshama is delicate, and the more that your power of imagination is refined, the more that you have to deal with what could be on the other side, which is that world of tzlalim, of shadows, of darkness. He says, Hatzlalim hinam holchim tamid beikvot haorot. Shadows will always follow the light, just like it is when we walk down the street. The more a person's talent to be someone who can be enlightened and to be intellectually advanced in every area in life, so too is his imaginary fear from thinking too much. You ever be in a situation where you're like, I want to stop thinking because I know that when I have too much space to think, somehow it gets filled with so many thoughts that I wish I didn't have. You know what that says about you? It says about you that you're a huge neshama. It says about you that you're a massive, massive neshama. It says about you that there's some big light, there's something really big that Yirvana Shleilim is sent you down into this world for. But Rav Kook says, Mala asot, it's inevitable. This is the way the world was created. That tzlalim, the shadows, are going to always follow that light. And therefore, the more that you become bigger in your world of thought, full of light, so the more that there's going to be shadows following, maybe it's on the bottom, but it's going to be following the light that you've produced in the world. So Rav Kook continues in the fourth paragraph. אי אפשר שיחול רוח הקודש והמאור האלוקי על ישראל, כי אם כשיסיר מקרב נשמתו את הפחד הרע והפרוע, אשר... let's stop here for a second. אי אפשר. Rav Kook says, you know what you and I long for? Probably more than anything. You and I long to live in a state of having Ruach HaKodesh and to be godly luminaries in the world. We long for, as a people, though, that Ruach HaKodesh and God's light should shine over all of Am Yisrael. But Rav Kook says there's a problem. Rav Kook says that light, that Ruach HaKodesh cannot hover over Am Yisrael as long as we are stuck in what he calls the evil type of fear and the wild type of fear, parua. Parua means where the fear has no borders, it has no boundaries. It digs its paws into anything that it can, and like we said before, we're not even trying to stop it because we think that if we try to get fear out of this area in life, we're just going to end up hurting ourselves even more. It says in that kind of state, Ruach HaKodesh, it won't do anything. It won't do anything. There's no room for what this divine spirit, for this godly enlightenment to shine and be what it's supposed to be. You can't. And this explains a lot how certain people that are stuck very deep in the world of fear, Rahman al-Islam, and of anxiety and paranoia. So what ends up happening is in such an intense way, they take on so many more things to help them spiritually, right? The problem is the avodah there is not how many more mitzvahs you do, with a hopeful dream of having more and more light on you. The problem is that there's no room for the light to come on. But I want to make it very clear, and I should have said this in the beginning, but I'll say it now and I'll say it again later. What we're speaking about now, the type of fear and anxiety we're speaking about now, is not anything that's, God forbid, and this is just my shita, it's not, God forbid, related to anything due to a chemical imbalance. We're speaking over here about the type of fear that you and I are dealing with right now, with a very horrific virus that's going out into the world. And that's why we're learning this right now. But I just want to be very, very, very clear about that. Obviously, when the fear and paranoia are so out of control that a person can't cope, you can read this piece from Rav Kook 50,000 times a day, but Rav Kook is basically saying to you, you need to get professional help. But what we're learning tonight is because the world is in a state of fear. I know it's probably clear to all of you, but I have an achrayus, I have to mention that and make it very clear to everyone. Rav Kook says, how did this fear grab the Am? So he says in the end of the first line of the fourth paragraph, Asher davak bo kemakam melapefet. It got stuck to us like a patch that glued onto us. Mimeshech yemei hagalut v'haredifut shel sonav hashvelim v'haraim. Exile, galut, exile has its victims. Exile has its traces on us as a people. People that for years were being hunted, terrorized, tormented as a people. That's gonna leave its mark. You see, we didn't really have a lot of time to breathe in between pogroms. We were living in states of constant fear, constant doubt, constant worry. Are we gonna be able to? Will there be Am Yisrael in a few weeks or not? Like that happened many times in the world. Rav Kook is saying over here, the redifut, the running after us, our lowest enemies, they're constant running after us, injected within the klal of Am Yisrael such a fear, such a paranoia. You know, I have a close friend. He means well, but I don't know if I should say this now. I could say we're all very good friends. He's one of my closest friends. He's Moroccan. And whenever he sees that I'm a little stressed, he always says to me, Ya Allah, ma masu lachem. Like, what did the Germans do to you guys, you Polacks, right? He says like that the Ashkenazi people, and rightfully so, live in a state of somewhat of paranoia and fear because, you know, in this last generation, many of us had parents or grandparents, definitely grandparents, but also parents. My Rabbi Rav Weinberger speaks to us all the time, where you never ever know, will there be enough food next week? You never ever know, will things be okay next week? You live in that as in constant. Basically, Rav Kook is saying, he's saying this in 1906. This is before World War II. Rav Kook says, look at the damage that Gullus has on us. So that's true about the cloud. But then he ends off this paragraph here and he says, But gam al ish yechidi, but even on the individual, en hashchina shora ki im al chacham gibor ve'ashir, ve'ena shora ela mitoch simcha. We know that on the individual, the Shekhinah can only reside upon a person who Chazal say is wise, is a hero, is wealthy, and there's all these different ways of interpreting what that really means. But definitely it says, Eina shora ela mitoch simcha, that the Shekhinah, that who we're destined to be, that light, that spirit, that you and I are destined to be, it can't be us. We can't become ourselves if we're not in a state of simcha. If that's true about the individual, Rav Kook says, v'kal v'chomer al hagoy kulo. All the more so that that's true when we're speaking about a whole people, a whole nation. Baruch Hashem, I want you all, I think we can do this. If you could close your eyes right now and envision someone who you felt was worthy or is worthy right now of having the Shekhinah hover over them. Basically, what I'm asking you to do is to imagine, and it's a good hachana for Pesach, get an imagery of a person that you know of, or knew of, or that you knew. That's a free person. That's a liberated individual that didn't wait for Mashiach to come in order to feel, act, and exhibit redemption. It's very important. And it's very possible, too. So Rav Kook in 1906 is telling us Mashiach's around the corner. And I know that statements like that are very difficult for disappointed children of Am Yisrael that have heard that terminology since they're babies, since they're kids. Mashiach's around the corner. We're ikvasa de Mashiach. And we're right there. We're right there. We're right there. It's very hard to keep on hearing, receiving emails that this Rav and this Rav said, all that's left to do is so-and-so, and clocks, watches, but all different inyanim. We've been told for so many years Mashiach is around the corner. But in this piece, Rav Kook says to us, let's make sure that when Mashiach comes, it means something to you. You got to do something with it. Bottom paragraph. Be'acharit hayamim be'ikvisa de Mashiach. At the end of days, in this pre-Messianic era, She'ha'ora ha'elokit hi omedet achar kotlenu, where the godly light, it's just on the other side of the wall. It's right here, it's just on the other side. Hine reshit kol ha'hechsherim hi hasarat hapachad ha'odef shel hamachshava mitoch hanefesh haklalit. The first, like everyone's busy with kashering kelim before Pesach, right? So Rav Kook saying, you want to kosher your kli, you want to kosher your vessel? The first step you have to do is to remove any, what he calls pa'achad ha'odef. Odef means any additional element of fear that's unneeded and not necessary from the general soul of the Am. And so it seemed, people that are speaking about that we're on the brink of the Geula right now, and any tzaddik that I've heard of has said, if you're scared of the corona, then you really should be scared. But if you're scared from the Ribono Shleilam, that's the pachad you should have. So Rav Kook is saying, ridding ourselves from pachad that's unnecessary is the avoda in order to kasher your kli, in order to make your vessel kosher, to receive this godly light that's right around the corner, that's right over here. B'yichud mitoch nafshotehem shel hayichidim hametzuyanim hachanonim b'sechel tov בכישרון של קדושה וצדק, וגם הנלקים בפחד, גם הם הינם היותר נלקים בפחד וחולשה. Rav Kook says, and another indicator as to who needs this avoda more than anyone is those that were gifted with a good mind, with a comprehensive mind, with a mind that's able to be very expansive, with a mind that desires kedusha, that desires tzedek, justice. Those are also the people that may very, very, very well also be stricken with weakness because of that world of imagination that we spoke of before. So to push yourself, you have to go to the opposite of what the world of imagination leads you to. Rav Kook calls this koach hachutzpah שהוכרח להתגבר בעת הזאת. The Gemara says, be'ikvisa de meshicha chutzpah yazge. That chutzpah, the element, the midah, the trait of chutzpah, will be that which is kind of in the forefront. So some people think that they think that means that we see that Mashiach is going to come and people are so chutzpahdik and disgusting. But that's not really what it means. It means that chutzpah, that a person can say Ribono Shel Olam, despite the fact that I am so-and-so and so-and-so, I have the chutzpah to deny the existence, the reality of all those thoughts that strike me with fear. I'm standing up in its face, and I'm looking at it in its heart, and I'm saying, you're nothing. You are nothing. You could bring on every reason to make me petrified. But the chutzpah that I have to look at that and to laugh at that, that's already, this is ikvisa de Mashiach. This is big stuff. Rav Kook says, b'makom shemitgale, en sham shum pachad. Where chutzpah, holy chutzpah, is revealed, there's no fear. En sham pachad. There's no fear whatsoever. In the places in our lives where we develop this holy chutzpah, this holy heroism, there's no fear there at all. Rav Kook says, "Af al pi sheba mitzad hashafel, mitzad hashicharon v'hamehuma, harachok kirchok shmayim va'aretz, me'ota gvura haba miberkat shamayim, shel osher neshama v'chezkat tzidkata." I'm just going to keep on reading and then I'll explain. Mikol makom hu poel bekocho ha'az, לקחת ממנו את החלק הטוב, את ניצוצי הקדושה. Rav Kook says, I know that you would like your godly or your spiritual advancements in life to be all pretty and look beautiful and be gentle. And of course, that's a lechatchila, that things should come peacefully. The emergence of chutzpah is not going to come from a very calm and peaceful way. It's going to come where you feel threatened. Like when you see someone coming to attack your child, you're not going to be like, well, I want to approach this in a menschlichkeit manner. May I please talk to you, sir, and threaten you? You don't do that. Why? Because that which is most precious to you is in danger. Cook says, we have a little bit of a warped concept of peace. Oev shalom verodev shalom. You got to be a lover of peace, a student of Aaron HaKohen, a pursuer of peace. I think it's Reb Simcha ben Mabshista had a beautiful word on it. He said a pursuer of peace is someone who, rodef shalom, that you're going to be rodef after somebody. You're going to hunt somebody down until they stop being a threat to your peace. And that's very important. That's very, very important to realize the chol zman va'ed, there's a time for everything. Well, so too, when we try to achieve and establish peace and calmness in our hearts and our souls, in our world of thought, there are times to be more, let me breathe in and breathe out, and we'll get there. But Rav Kook says, when you detect the enemy coming to remove from you your ray of life, when you detect the enemy that's coming to poison the delicate, gentle part of your existence, you treat it like someone that's coming after your child. Sorry, you can't be this peaceful mensch that wants to serve tea and sit down and schmooze about how beautiful the bluebirds are looking now. It's not going to work. That's not what life is about right now. Cook says, yes, you have to go there. You have to go to that place that's a little bit more wild, that's a little bit less contained, because that's its enemy. An enemy has to know its enemy. That's what you gotta befriend that place even. And don't worry, once you'll rid yourself of that nida, once it's done, it's tikkun in this world. It won't stay with you. Rav Kook says on the second to bottom line, ve'az tikaba hagvura be'mishbetzet hakdusha ve'hamachshava tafriach. And then heroism, real heroism, will be permanently fixed in its right place of kedusha in the world. And the result of that is hamachshava tafriach. Your world of imagination will only blossom and take you high, and it'll never take you down. And he quotes here the nevuah of Yeshaya Hanavi, Al tir'i ki lo tevoshi, ve'al tikalmi ki lo tachpiri, ki boshet alumayich tishkachi, ve'cherpat almenotayich lo tiskeri od. Rav Kook says Yeshaya Hanavi says there's gonna come a day. There's gonna come a day when what Gullus did to you just doesn't do it anymore. When the place that you were a little bit embarrassed and you were ashamed of, which made you seem so small, so frightened, so full of anxiety and nerves and stress, and you think that's how the world remembers you, he says, don't worry, the day is going to come, it'll be forgotten, and you won't even remember what it was like. You won't even remember what it was like to be stricken by this fear and paranoia. Now, I told you all before that we're leaving the end to get some help from someone very special. So I'm not pulling anyone out of the bookshelf here. And I'm not going to put my wife on the spot right now either, although I'm sure she could do a great job in helping us. But one of the beautiful, beautiful people of our generation, a person of light, a person of a lot of light, is a person named Rav Dov Zinger. Have you heard of Rav Dov Zinger? Rav Dov Zinger is the rabbi of Yeshivat Makor Chaim, the high school, in 2 minutes away from us, where the 3 boys that were kidnapped were from. And Rav Dov Zinger recently put out a book in Hebrew. It's called Tikon Tfilati. I think I have it right here, actually. Yeah. Gorgeous, gorgeous book about davening, about prayer. They recently put it out in English as well. I forget the name of it. If you know the name of it in English, type it in the chat. Highly recommended for everyone to learn. In Hebrew, it's called Tikon Tfilati, and it just came out in English. I think it means preparing my prayer. If you know the name of it in English, type it into the chat. That would be very good. Not to send it to me privately, but to send it to the chat to everyone. Very, very important. Baruch Hashem, I'm privileged to know Rav Dov. Thank you. It's called Prepare My Prayer. Rav Dov lives just a few minutes from me here in Tekoa. And as many of you know, Rav Dov was one of the first cases in Israel of someone who contracted the coronavirus. And he had just come back from, it's by Dov Zinger. Dov Zinger. Maybe it's Singer in English, I don't know, Singer or Zinger. He's one of the first people in Israel to contract the virus. And Rav Dov was put into quarantine mamash right after he got back from a trip to America where he was promoting his sefer. This is the book. It's beautiful, it's gorgeous, and it's meant for you and I. It's our generation. It's mamash for our generation. So Rav Dov sent a message from quarantine when it just started. And Baruch Hashem, as far as I know, he's doing good. He's healing. He's been taking care of himself. But he told everyone something very important from his first message that he sent from the hospital. Remember I told you in the beginning of the shir that Rav Kook is going to be explaining to us what happens to us, what's taking place inside. Like, what does it mean to live in a state of anxiety and stress? So Rav Kook basically he explained to us what's happening inside and what's needed to be done in order to really be having that godly spirit hover upon us. But what about the word how? How do you do it? How do I remove the fear? And again, I'm not speaking about fear that needs to have professional intervention. I'm speaking about the fear that many of us are having because of very real fears that are in front of us as our list of people to daven for is growing by the hour. That's something very, very real. Rav Dov said something amazing. It's probably the opposite of what you would think, but it's something very, very, very true. Rav Dov said, sit down, write out what your fears are. Write out what you're fearful about the fear. Dissect the daylights out of it as much as possible instead of ignoring it and thinking that if I stop thinking about it, it'll work and it'll just go away. Have chutzpah and say, I'm coming after you. I'm writing it out. I'm looking at it in front of me. You know, Rav Kook writes in Orot HaTshuva that a key fundamental principle in the world of tshuva is to take your chet, take whatever it is, your transgression that you're working on, place it on your easel, and like an artist that's painting, that looks at what it's painting, gaze at the easel until it's clear to you what it is you're trying to fix and how badly you want to get rid of it. Wrap it with prayer, wrap it with love, and put it as a korban to Shemayim. Let's do that with our fears as well. The Ribono Shel Olam is running the show. Every day is a gift. Being here has been a gift. Let's take every fear that we have. Let's write it out very clearly so we understand what it is exactly that's causing the fear to the best of our ability, right? Gaze at it. Look at it. Rav Dov says, I'm scared because I think that if this happens to me, then I will feel so-and-so. Say it, write it out. Wrap it around, make it into a tefillah instead of a death sentence. And then elevate it up to Shemayim. And then you don't have to run away and not look that direction because you already dealt with it. Hala. Again, this is holy chutzpah, right? This is very, very, very difficult, but it's very, very worthwhile and very doable. If you showed up to this evening's shir, it's because you have stress and anxiety in your life, as do I, as does any person that's alive and breathing today. But it's also because we want to attach ourselves to Da'at Torah. We want to attach ourselves to the cloaks of the tzaddikim who prepared us for times like this. You think Reb Nachman's, all his Torahs, prepared us for times where we won't have to worry about life and we won't have to be working on what he spoke about? You think Rav Kook wrote Ma'amar hapachad for someone who's doing really well in life, just had their 18th child and Baruch Hashem just won the lotto? No, he wrote it for you and I. Maybe he wrote it for himself. I don't know. Wouldn't surprise me. But I know that it's possible, and I know it's possible for us to do this together. I have one request. As you know, our project, the Shlomo Katz project, has I have a very, very clear, you should know, I have a very big ulterior motive here by everything I'm doing. There's something, I'm being very sneaky. I want something from each of you. I want your prayers. I want your tefillahs. I want to share our tefillahs with the whole world. I want you all, if you're able, if you're willing, to take the link that's in the chat over here, or if you don't have the link, it's in the chat, email me, email the project, we'll get back to you. and submit your tefillah that's based on how you are approaching and dealing with whatever fear that you're going through. Because Rav Kook says you never know. The manner in which you're dealing with your anxiety can save someone else's life if they get access to it. You have no idea. Basically, you know who did that for all of us? You know who did what I just said for all of us? David HaMelech. David HaMelech cared enough about us that he shared with us how he dealt with his anxiety, and he gave us Sefer Tehillim. What's Sefer Tehillim? Sefer Tehillim is David HaMelech writing out all his fears and sharing with us how he dealt with them. Yalla. It's time that we can do the same thing. We need each other. We need each other's kochot. We need each other's confidence. And I know we can do this. And I pray, b'siyata d'shmaya, please God, that each and every one of us is filled with bitachon, that each and every one of us finds a place of holy chutzpah, to grab ourselves onto it right now, to internalize the fact that realize that this is tzav hasha'ah, this is what life is all about right now. Le'et kazot higat lamalchut. It's for this moment that we reached life the way it is to implement all of this right now. I thank each and every one of you for not just, I could sometimes get a sense of when people come to a shir online because they want to make me feel good or they want to feel good about themselves. And then sometimes there's shirim where you see that even though we're not sitting in the same room, our hearts are in the same kirot to live. Our hearts are really all intertwined. And it's so beautiful. And it's so humbling. And it also fills us with the sense of responsibility that we have to pass these messages of true comfort, love, and concern to everyone that's in our lives, to everyone that we know. There are people learning with us right now from all over the world. This is the time right now, as small as the world is, to make it even smaller, to connect the chut of bitachon, to connect a string of trusting in ourselves, trusting in the Ribono Shel Olam, trusting in that voice that's going to emerge. It's going to emerge. And if you can't feel it, believe that right on the other side of the wall, Hine ze omed achar kotlenu. It's right on the other side of the wall, that this beautiful world of Hashem saying, I'm sorry I put you through everything. This is what had to be. It's right here. It's the other side. If you don't feel it, believe it. Like our friend Nitza Jerome says, faith it till you make it. I love that line. Faith it till you make it. All right, we'll sing one more nigun, and then we will bid you a farewell, everyone. This is a song about bitachon. I love you, Josh. have holy chutzpah and sing a song that's a little bit not depressing? Is that okay with everyone? That's the chutzpah, right? Let's go. Faith it till you make it. Shimon and Adi, ay, 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 hey, oh, Bobby and Saba, we love you. Ay, 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 oh, oh, Precious parents, we love you. Ay, ay, oh, yeah, oh, ay, 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 oh, oh, yeah, oh, 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 ay, 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 oh, yeah. I am at the beer. Thanks, everybody. Big kiss and hug from all of us.